Hi everybody, it's Joyce Luck here, and I wanted to come to you guys with a quick video introducing you to the newest member of our family, Cruz. If you guys follow me on Facebook, I have posted a couple of pictures of her so you guys can kind of see her, but I just wanted to check in with you all and kind of give you an update on what I've been up to over these last 8 weeks with our new baby, and kind of just give you the details on my labor and delivery story, because it's quite interesting and it's also kind of good to know what you may be in for if you are an expecting mother, or if you're someone who is even hoping to have kids at any point in your life. It's kind of good to know what to expect once you get to the hospital. So I'm going to share my story with you guys, and let me know if you have any questions. So first things first, my husband and I had a daughter, and her name is Cruz, spelled C-R-U-Z. She is almost 8 weeks old. Probably in 2 days she'll be 8 weeks. And it's been a roller coaster having her in our house, and I'm loving every minute of it. So she was due November 16th, and typically for most people, when they get close to their due date, they'll start showing signs of labor. And those signs of labor could be anything from your water breaking, passing the mucus plug, intense contractions, and dilation of the cervix. My due date came and I had not experienced any of those things. It was like my body wasn't really ready to have the baby yet, but I had been pregnant for 40 weeks already. So after discussing it with my doctor, my husband and I decided to go ahead and do induction. And an induction is basically an artificial form of starting labor. Instead of letting it occur naturally, you can basically pump drugs through your body to make your body start going into labor. So she was due on Sunday, but she didn't come. So the next day, or really the next night, my husband and I went to the hospital. We got all checked in, and they started me on something that's called Cervidil. It is about the size of a tampon, and it is inserted vaginally. And what it is designed to do is it's supposed to start the process of dilating the cervix. When your cervix is not dilated, it's completely closed, but as you get closer and closer to delivery, your cervix will dilate up to 10 centimeters. So that's what that is for, to help you get from that 0 to 10. I don't know what was going on with the Cervidil, but so like I said, they inserted the Cervidil and they left it in overnight. The next morning the nurse came in to remove it, and that was one of the most painful sensations I have ever felt. I don't really know why that was extremely painful for me, but after talking to the nurse, she was saying that it's possible that the Cervidil just made my cervix extremely sensitive. So it was not a fun experience, and I was like, man, and that was like the first part of the labor for me, and I was like, what am I in for if the very beginning is this painful and it's not even contractions, it's just them removing something from my cervix. So, from that point, I was kind of anxious about what was in store for me. The next part of the process for me, at least, was to get started on the Pitocin. And Pitocin is a drug that starts contractions. So while Cervidil starts the dilation, the Pitocin starts the contractions, and those are the painful contractions that everyone talks about. This drug starts those contractions. I would say within maybe an hour and a half. I don't remember exactly, but I started to feel the contractions, and I think the best way to describe it is menstrual cramps on steroids. They were really painful. At one point, a couple hours had passed with having the contractions, and I was like, I feel like I'm in stage 4. Stage 4 is like the most painful part, the most painful the contractions can get. And I asked the nurse, I'm like, what stage of the contractions am I in? And she was like, you're still in stage 1. Something else that kind of happens is, when you get put on these drugs, and even if you're not put on the drugs, the doctor is going to come in and do vaginal exams to check how dilated you are. And it's basically how many fingers they can insert into your cervix. That's going to kind of tell them how dilated you are. Those exams hurt so bad. It was actually the exams that the doctor came in to do that made me get the epidural. Not even the contractions, the exams. And it was actually after, I think, the 3rd vaginal exam that I was like, no, I have to get the epidural. I can't take this pain anymore. So they went ahead and put me on the list of people to get an epidural and just chalk it up to bad timing. But my doctor came in again before I was able to get the epidural and told me that I had to get another vaginal exam. And not only was I getting another vaginal exam, I had to have my water manually broken since it did not break on its own. So that was a fiasco. The doctor came in, they had to call another nurse in, my husband, all three of them had to pin my legs down so that the doctor could do what she needed to do. She needed to check my cervix and she needed to break my water, and she wasn't able to do it because I was squirming so much. But I was squirming because it was really painful. It was really uncomfortable. I would say that was probably the pinnacle of the pain process for me, was the exam paired with getting my water broken. I really should have had the epidural before I did that. So finally, the anesthesiologist was able to come to my room. He gave me the epidural, and I would say that the pain of the epidural was kind of like a bee sting, which I wasn't too excited about, but in the grand scheme of things, it was totally worth that small amount of pain to get rid of all the other pain that I was experiencing. Only thing I could think of after the epidural started to work and I wasn't in as much pain was how relaxed I felt, how good I felt, and then wondering why I had waited so long to get the epidural, because all of my pain problems went away and I was able to rest and get prepared for delivery. So several hours after I had gotten the epidural, it was time for the doctor to come in and do another vaginal check to see where I was as far as my dilation was concerned. And at that point, I was 9 centimeters dilated, which meant that I was basically ready to start pushing soon, at least. We just had to wait for It just meant that we had to wait for the baby to come down into position to be a little bit closer to my cervix or come down deeper into the cervix before I could start pushing her out. Several hours passed and she still was not in the correct position for me to start pushing, and on top of that, her heart rate started to drop. So my doctor went ahead and made the call that we needed to have an emergency C-section. So after 14 hours of labor, thinking that I was going to deliver vaginally, we ended up going into surgery and delivering the baby that way. This was when the doctor first told me that I was getting a C-section. I was extremely scared. I started crying. I was really upset. It just wasn't really what I had in mind for how I wanted to deliver my child, and I was also concerned about the scar. I just didn't want a scar for the rest of my life that was going to be on my abdomen and everything like that. But in the end, it ended up being okay. The scar is almost invisible, like you can't even see it. I would say that the stretch marks that I have on my abdomen, which are fading already, are worse than the scar. Like, that's how good of a job the doctor did with that surgery. So anyways, we went into surgery, everything went well. She came out screaming and beautiful, and both Cam and I was obviously there. Cam was there, and we were able to kind of see her as she was coming out. They cleaned her up, they wrapped her up, and they let us hold her, or let Cam hold her. And that was pretty much it. Like I said, it wasn't necessarily the labor and delivery that I had in mind for myself. I was going in thinking that I was gonna do a drug-free, natural, vaginal birth, and that's not what happened at all. I ended up taking all kinds of drugs. I didn't deliver vaginally. I had a C-section. But in the end, the most important thing, which was that Cruz was safe and I was safe, those are the most important things, and that's what I'm thankful for. But I will be in touch with you guys soon to give you some more updates on things like post-baby body and how I've been feeling about my body, just how I've been dealing with the baby in the house, and all of those things. But for that video, let me know if there's anything that you guys want me to cover specifically aside from the things that I've mentioned. And it sounds like she's waking up, so I've got to go. Until next time.